Hi guys, it's Raymond here. Today is February 17th, 2021. Looking a little spiffy, I guess, because I had a meeting tonight. So here's something I want to talk about. I've been wanting to make this video since yesterday, really. I'm going to talk about two different topics. The first one, let me get to the issue that I had over the weekend. I'm not sure how long ago I made the video titled Netflix Scam. And the reason why I'm not sure how long ago I made it because it's no longer on my video playlist. And the reason why it's not on my playlist on YouTube is because it got taken down. I received an email from YouTube telling me that my content in that video was harmful and dangerous. Now, if I'm going to talk about a scam, I want to make sure that, I get the facts accurately in the video. To make a long story short, I don't entertain the idea of telling people how to commit scams when I'm trying to do the opposite and try to put a stop to the scams. So YouTube said we took it down, but they gave me 30-day notice to appeal it if I wanted to. But they said they're not going to even give me a channel strike, which is good. So having said that, I'm not really sure if I even need to bother appealing it because their strike was put on my channel. Now, the other thing is, I don't even have that video file on this computer because if you remember last year, my old laptop crashed and I made a video about that. So it would have been on that computer and not on this one. But because I can't get into that one, I can't go back and look at the video and see what exactly I said that could have been harmful. But like I said, it's fine. Since I'm not getting a strike, I'm not going to bother appealing it. There's really no need to. So that's that. I do want to talk about the second thing is the kind of making, I'm not making political endorsements, or I'm not making political arguments to say whether if I'm like pro-Democrat, or I should do it over here because it's called a pro-Democrat and a pro-Republican. I am politically neutral down the line. I am not affiliated with any political party. None. The other day, seeing a video about how QAnon has this conspiracy that Trump is going to reassume power on March 4th. Now, see, when I heard that the March 4th date, I knew exactly what they were talking about. See, back then, up until 1933, presidential inaugurations was on March 4th. And the reason for that was because back then, they didn't have sophisticated advanced traveling options like trains, planes, cars, buses. They didn't have these kinds of means of transportation. In fact, I don't even think a car was invented yet. I can't remember when it was. But if you look at 1775, when John Adams had to make the trip from Boston to Philadelphia to attend the first Congress. Now you might say, wait a minute, Congress meets in D.C. What's Philadelphia got to do with this? Well, there was a time when Philadelphia played as our nation's capital. So he only had to make a 440-mile trip. But the only means of transportation that John Adams had back then was riding a horse. So he would get like maybe 10 to 15 miles a day before he would turn in. So that was why it took 4 months from election to inauguration. Because, well, I guess I shouldn't say that's just why. It's one of the main reasons why they moved it to January 20th. Well, why inauguration was on March 4th. Because politicians or president-elect, depending on where he came from, traveling did take some time. He had to make sure he had other expenses, like for food, lodging, funding and stuff like that. Maybe get some new warm clothing along the way, whatnot. So traveling wasn't easy back then. And during the time when John Adams was doing this, he was doing this in the dead of winter. So it relied on his physical health condition and the health of his horse that he was riding on. So, when you do 10 to 15 miles a day, it could take roughly 30, 45 days to get from Boston to Philadelphia, when it was the capital of the nation's capital at the time. So, D.C. wasn't even our capital yet. Now, say if somebody wanted to travel from a place, say for instance, Georgia, that's even a longer travel. But these long travels, you have to have the physical stamina to endure such long travels, where you could be dealing with some days that are extremely hot or extremely cold, and they do take the energy out of you. So that was basically kind of the reasons why elections used to, presidential inaugurations was on March 4th. And it stayed that way up until 1933, when 1937 came around. Because it was passed in the 20th Amendment of our Constitution that the presidential inauguration, as well as one for the vice president, would take place on January 30th or 20th. Having said that, when you look at the time gaps from election to inauguration in November and March 4th, one of the disadvantages was that you would have lame duck Congresses. So they needed to shorten that time up. But anyway, getting back to the March 4th thing, QAnon thought, okay, Biden's only in power just until March 4th, and then Trump is going to reassume power on March 4th. This is what QAnon actually believes. And I just sit there, just scratch my head, irritated of how dumb can these people be. And even some believe that when Trump gets back into power on March 4th, he's going to have public executions. From, I'm guessing, Kamala Harris to Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, possibly Chuck Schumer. I know Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama have been mentioned in such scenarios. But this is how crazy QAnon is. again, I'm not talking about political issues of what's at stake, like the COVID relief bill. I know I'm not supposed to mention COVID, but I'm not giving political or medical advice, or stuff like that. But QAnon really needs to do their research before they just go make up a bunch of wishy-washy kind of thing that they think it's going to happen. Take a look at 9/11, for example. Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene claimed that the plane that hit the Pentagon on 9/11 never happened, that it was staged. But when she was facing to get removed from committees such as labor and education, that's just the name one. So to defend and make the case for her to be able to stay in committees and Congress, she had to admit that 9/11 happened, that the plane that hit the Pentagon that really did happen. She was doing it to save face. That's the only reason why she was doing that. Then there was a video that surfaced that she was harassing a Parkland High School shooting victim. So she got removed from committee on that too. And just to give you an idea how terrible of a politician that she is, she filed articles of impeachment on Joe Biden on his first full day in office because the things that he did before he came into office. Here's the truth of the matter. You cannot be impeached as president for stuff that you've done before you took office. Now, that only applies to the president, but it appears it doesn't apply to Congress because the 9/11 thing happened while she was still in office. But harassing a Parkland High School shooting victim was before she was in power. Now, she's not on any committees. And really, I think she is a problem for the state of Georgia. I think she won her seat uncontested. And then I want to end this on one final thing. It was said today that conservative radio host Rush Limbaugh died today, February 17, 2021, after a battle with cancer. He died of lung cancer. It was terminal. Admittedly, I didn't like him, but at least I had the decency to acknowledge that he passed away and that I was sorry that he passed. I went on his Wikipedia page today after it was announced that he died. You know, Wikipedia is a site that doesn't catch vandalism fast enough. So I was looking at his page to see what kind of controversies that he's dealt with. I remember the one with Viagra and his drug addictions and whatnot. But there was a point where it said that he died on February 17, 2021, and returned to the pits of hell. And that's vandalism. Now, whether you like the guy or not, I don't think it's really right of us to say who's burning in hell and who's not. We are not the ultimate judge. So I just want to say that. Biblically, God doesn't take pleasure in the death of the wicked, but he takes pleasure when we all come to repentance. So, let's not be on the train of hoping that people that we don't like burns in hell. It's not our place to decide where they're going. That's God's decision. No one else. Alright, with that, I'm going to end the video here, and I will see you on the next video.